Some brands are legendary. In every category, someone sets the standard, and some companies create raving fans. Join Scott Wozniak and Caitlin Johnson of Swaz Consulting as we dig into the tactics and tools behind great organizations. How did the legends do it? And how can you become a legendary brand too? Caitlin, welcome back. Looking forward to diving into this topic today.
Yes, Scott, tell us, what is our focus?
Yeah, so I think we should dig into the personalized service part of the engine. So, okay, for those of you who are just joining us, we have what we call the customer experience engine. These are the lessons we learned that create raving fans. It's not magic, it's not luck. There's a set of systems that when you stack them together, it just creates raving fans. So I'm going to do like the 10-second overview for those who are new, and then we'll get specific, Caitlin. But so the engine, the fuel pouring in the engine is customer insight. And then there's 3 gears at the heart of the engine that make this thing work. Operational excellence, personalized service, and memorable moments. And then, of course, we have a belt behind all the gears, kind of running behind the scenes that makes this all possible. And that's a healthy leadership team. And I think today it's personalized service. It's that second gear, right? The big fat gear that's first is the operational excellence. That's the big beast. We got to get that right. But when we do, and we provide some consistent excellence, man, this is the next real thing we start looking for, is these personal touches. And the question that our customers are asking is, do you care about me? Like, do you see me as a person? Do I matter? Do you like me? I mean, these are like fundamental human psychologies here, right? We all want to be seen and liked by people that we like. And so it's just profoundly powerful. And so these are the tactics, the systems, the things you do that make a personal touch. Again, the standard excellence, we've already checked that box with our operational excellence. So we're going to magically assume today, Caitlin, that all of our stuff is operationally excellent. No problem. Right? Perfectly delivered, all the basics with excellence. That obviously is not a given. There's a lot of work that goes into making that.
Absolutely. It's the biggest gear. Yeah.
It is. However, at some point, right, you can get to a place. There are tactics and tools, and those are other podcasts and resources. But at some point, you do check that box, and you can say, okay, that is working, and we're going to keep working on it. But we have to do these personal touches. So today, it's like, okay, the basics are working. Or maybe that's the first myth I'll bust here before we get into specifics. This is not the generous recovery when we mess up.
Ooh, good point.
You know what? Maybe we need to have a podcast on that, Caitlin, because that is an essential part of the process. Because humans mess up. Not me. I've never messed up. I have a friend. Right. I have a friend who's messed up.
You better not be pointing at me, Scott.
Yeah. So if I was, there would be more fingers pointing back than forward. I certainly have messed up. But I say all that to say, yes, we should recover. That's not what we're talking about. These are the personal touches above and beyond fixing the basics that say, I like you, I see you, you matter, we notice you. And so that's the frame of what we're going to dive into today, is personalized service. Yeah. But there's a dozen different specific ways and types and applications. So that's what I was thinking. And honestly, I was thinking that because of the project you and I were just talking about that we're doing with one of our clients. So tell us a little more. We don't have to name them, but tell us a little more about the kind of scenario that we're in and the stuff we're working on for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this client, they've gone through the operational excellence gears, right? Let's say, and could you say, Scott, that perhaps they've got the transactional interactions with their clients down, and now they're looking to elevate it with personalized service.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
This journey that their clients take is multiple steps. So if you think about all of the different touch points that a client could have within this organization. So multi-step journey.
And this is key, because it's different when we have a single transactional event. Right. The way you add a personal touch to that is different than this relationship, right? We're gonna be together and doing stuff for a little while. Okay, yeah.
So through this journey, they're mapping out, what are the key touch points, and how can we elevate and personalize our service at these touch points? So that's what we're really going to narrow down on today, is this multi-step opportunity to engage with clients, and how do we personalize meaningful elements of that journey?
Well, you said the first most critical thing already, and you just casually threw it out there. Like, well, of course, we're mapping. Making a map of the customer journey is essential for this kind of longer relationship, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and buckle up. We're going to give you too many ideas here, right? Like what Caitlin and I are about to do is pull into our data banks of all the things we've helped people figure out and personally experienced, and we're going to overload you with ideas. How do you know how many to do and which to pick? And you don't randomly grab them. You go back to
Mm-hmm.
your map. You look at the
Mm-hmm.
map and you say, okay, if this, then this, then this, and then you design. Here's how we want it to start. Here's how we do in the middle. I mean, I'll give you one practical example on why a map is so useful. We did this, gosh, 4 months ago. We did it with a client. We went through the process and we made their customer
Mm-hmm.
journey map. And they actually had some really nice touches at the beginning, and they had some
Mm-hmm.
really nice touches at the end.
Strong starts, strong endings. Yeah, they got that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. But there was this spot in the middle where, okay, they did custom stuff, but they were like the distributor, not the original maker of all of it by themselves. They did some of the install, but I'll say there was some point where they would send off the order to the builder, the producer, and then they would sit and wait 3 to 6 weeks for the
Mm-hmm.
materials to arrive. And we're like, what do you do in that 3 to 6 weeks? And it was not
Yeah.
until we laid out a map that we saw there's this giant hole in the customer experience of like, yeah, we pretty much don't talk to them for 6 weeks. Huh. I wonder what that feels like to your
That
customers.
could be problematic. I'd be a little worried. I'd be like, hey, so are my materials in?
Yeah,
What's the deal?
funny you say that because they would literally like, and actually, a substantial percentage of our people will email us in the middle of that window
Oh,
to ask for an
yeah.
update on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Interesting
map,
customer insight. Mm-hmm.
yes, the map of your journey will help you decide where to do touches, how often, because you don't want to grab 5 opening ideas and then not talk to them, not give them any touches through the rest of the experience or save it all to the end. We're all about memorable moments and a grand finish, but yeah, the customer map will help you a ton on
Mm-hmm.
how to organize all the ideas we're about to dump here.
So for anyone listening, real quick, could you kind of explain what could this customer journey map look like? So if people are like, oh, okay, that sounds great, but how do I do it? Could you just give us a couple
yeah,
guidance of sentences to get started?
we're really going to do a whole map. It starts before they sign up and work with you. It starts with how did they hear about you? Is this
Mm-hmm.
online? Did a friend refer them? They see your location in the mall. I don't know. It depends on your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did they first hear about you? Then when they first start talking to your team about should we sign up, hire, buy anything, to what's the onboarding process, to how the delivery goes through, what are the different steps in the process from I'm picking my order to now you're doing the work, right? To even post finish of the project. Hey, what do we do after the project's all done to check in and remind you we're still around and see how things are going? It's a very broad. It's not like, hey, what are the words my team says in this one phone call? It's the whole journey, pre and post and during.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to write out. The version 1 of this is usually pretty basic, right? You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they see us online or a friend refers them, right? And that's .1. And we usually like literally draw a line on a whiteboard or on a sheet.
Yeah, horizontal line.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
a horizontal line, and you put a dot here and a dot here and a dot here, and then you try to label that dot, and you're like, this happens, then
Mm-hmm.
this happens, then this happens, and it's it. And you just kind of map it from left to right. Here's the progression of how we're going from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
What are the various interaction points in the relationship? And we just
Mm-hmm.
have a group brainstorm. What happens next? What happens next? Who does what? And often sometimes team members, when you do this as a leadership team, they'll be like, oh yeah, no, we send him something here. I've got a guy who gives a phone call there. She always sends him a little
Mm-hmm.
gift. Like, oh, I didn't know that. And so you might surface some cool stuff in the conversation. But yes, it's like a timeline of the different things. Now, if you really want to get creative, which I've seen you do this, Caitlin, really well, you can
Mm-hmm.
actually create a cool visual that looks like a map with a line that kind
Oh,
of goes up and down and wiggles left. It's like a treasure
that's
map,
my
right?
favorite.
It gets
Yeah.
super
Mm-hmm.
fun. But if you're not as creative as Caitlin, you can like scribble a straight line left to right and write bad handwriting.
Keep
It's
it
totally
simple.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep it simple. Yeah, I love the map because to your point, well, you had said customers are asking, can I trust you? Do you care about me? And so when you go through this map and you think about the different touch points that you have with your clients and your customers, then you ask the question, how are we caring for our clients at each of these touch points? What are we doing for them? And many organizations do have strong starts and strong endings. And it's the middle that we need to think about. Well, how are we caring for our clients and customers within those points? What's a meaningful opportunity to be able to convey, hey, we're still thinking about you, or, let me provide an update, like be proactive. That client that you were working with recently, oh my gosh, like if you can be proactive with me as your client and I don't have to think about messaging you because 2 or 3 weeks have gone by, like you just saved me so much headache.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the idea of these personalized touches, as getting ahead of it, being proactive, caring for the experience that your client is having with you in order to create raving fans.
Yeah.
And I always like to bring that back up, the raving fans, because you don't have to do this personalized service.
That's right. That's
you
right.
know, you can just get it done, check it off, move on to the next customer or client.
And you can be a functional, profitable business just doing operational excellence. I mean, that alone is
Yes.
valuable and excellent, and you'll always have people willing to work with you. You might not have raving fans, though. I mean,
Right.
that next level, yeah.
And that's what we want. We want the raving fans so that people organically talk about us and can do the marketing for us, and keep coming back.
Say, how do I buy more? Is there an upgrade and all that cool stuff that comes? Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And this is key. Remember, we talked how big the gear is, operational excellence. These personalized service gears are little. What we often say is just 1 to 2 times a project, you do this personal touch. In fact, let me define one other thing that's critical here. Because you've mentioned like strong starts, big finishes. We love those. We tend to put those in the memorable moments bucket, the strong start and big finish. And there's some overlap in the idea of the personalized service and the memorable moments. There's cool little touches you do in both of these. But here's one of the key differences. The memorable moments tend to be standardized things. I mean, I can add a personal bit to it, but like my opening package, we're going to kick off the project. It's a standard package of opening stuff. Like, here's the swag I give you. Here's the little party we throw. Here's the whatever the opening kickoff is. That's a whole other topic. And the closing, we have this big nostalgic ending. It's beautiful. These personalized services, they tend not to be big standard packages. It's personalized. That's the difference here. I might have a process to help me think about it, but I'm going to send you something with your name on it and that references your project, your situation. And it may just be a small thing that just says it's unique. The key here is not it's a big epic party. It's I notice you specifically. It's so clearly something that is not generically done for everybody. Like you might have said, the strong kickoff. Hey, let's give him some swag, right? With our company logo on, our company logo, and hey, welcome to we're excited to be your partner and do this project with you. Because that's our context here. We're going to be working with you for the next 6 months. It's going to be great, or year, or whatever long your project is, right? But this personalized touch, you don't send them swag with your name on it, because that's not the intent in the middle of the project. It's I'm going to send something with your name on it.
I like it.
And I didn't mass produce this for everyone else. This is you. And so it's often less money and maybe a little bit more thought and time put into it. The memorable moments, you can prepackage a lot of this stuff. And like, here's your opening kickoff. I haven't got to know you much yet, right? But hey, we can do a standard kickoff. By this middle window where you're right, we don't want to leave them hanging. It's less about a big spend of materials and more about personalized, like I see you. In fact, there's 2 parts we would say. I see you and I like you. So maybe we'll start with that frame. I see you is you notice specifics about them and you call them out. So let's give some examples, right? Let's move off of theory into tactics.
Yeah, I like it.
Using their name. I mean, like, let's not overcomplicate this, people. Start with the basics. You say Caitlin and Scott. You don't say dear customer. It's very specific. Again, the gift, if you're going to give a gift, you put their name on it. But even maybe you just like call them by name or name their specific project. Like, I hope your project is doing well. No, I hope this specific location or the build on this wing or this particular repair job or whatever the project is, You name a
Mm-hmm.
project. You use their name. You call them, just name their project specifics by specific documents. You change the title pages. I mean, simple things that say, hey, we're going to send you an update. And the update is not project update. It's, update on 1741 East Noonan Boulevard. Like, there's your
Mm-hmm.
headquarters name. Like, great. That's the project. And it's the picture of your headquarters. That's the second part. Use their name and send them pictures. So take pictures of their stuff. If you're doing physical things, or put their picture, like put Caitlin's headshot on the front of this thing. And like the title page has Caitlin's picture on it.
Right.
Just the I see you, you particularly, I notice you. What's that old classic saying by Dale Carnegie? Like, a person's name is the sweetest word in any language.
Yes. Yeah. Dale Carnegie. Is that what it was? I thought it was like Romeo and Juliet. What I'm thinking of, like a rose is not whatever that
It
rose thing
probably
is.
is, and he probably ripped it off of somebody who ripped it off of somebody. Yeah,
Yeah. The sweetest name of the, oh, now I got to think about it. But
I know.
anyways, yes,
Hey,
you're right though.
listeners, send us the correct quote on that one. You probably should have figured that out. Yeah.
Right. Call a friend, help us out.
Yes. So using their name is just incredibly powerful. In fact,
Mhm.
okay, I was going to give an example that you know even better than I do, but like Ritz-Carlton
Mhm.
Properties
Oh,
as
absolutely.
famous for
Mhm.
not just being generic, but calling people by name. So,
Oh, yeah.
like, here's some of the tactics I know about, like the huddles and all that, where they refresh names and pull that out. For those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
I'm pointing at Caitlin rather than stealing this story. Is she, in her earlier part of her career, was a trainer, developer,
Yeah. With Marriott and Ritz Carlton. It's an intentional thought of, how do we find out and seek out the individual's name and use the name multiple times in an interaction. Not, and here's the balance though, you've got to do it in an authentic and genuine way.
Yeah.
And that goes back to I care, right? I see you and I care. And how is your stay going, Mr. Wozniak? And then if it's like, oh, please call me Scott. Scott, you see him in the hallway later. Scott, how's it going? Do you need anything? Can I help you, with anything that you need, or whatever the case may be? About the personalized service within Ritz-Carlton, it is a way of doing business. It's actively seeking out, where can we personalize things? What brings you in today? How come you're staying at our property? Asking questions like that. Oh, you're celebrating an anniversary. As you're typing at the computer, you're entering that in. So then the rest of the hotel knows that Mr. and Mrs. Wozniak, they're celebrating their anniversary. So housekeeping, and this is up to the housekeepers. Oh, I'm going to put like a little special thing on their bed, finding moments to personalize the service by getting to know the customer and client. What brings you in? They have a whole software system of keeping track of special moments and things like that. Certain clients we would remember if they came back, it's like, oh, they like Mountain Dew. We're going to make sure they have Mountain Dew in their room already. Right.
Yes, brilliant. And yeah, there are software and tools and stuff. Like, they don't just assume good-hearted people. This is why, like, it's personalized service. There is a system to support the team able to do this. There's training for the team to remind them they're supposed to do this. And that's the mistake, I think, in personalized touches like this is we're like, wow, how do we say to Chick-fil-A? We're like, it's warm-hearted impulses. You just need to follow your warm-hearted impulses. Like, do something creative. Yes, but if you don't have prompts and reminders and tools making it easy for you to do it, then I'll confess, a lot of times I'll have a warm-hearted impulse, and then I get distracted and busy, and I start it, but I don't finish it, and then nothing ever happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated though, because I know a lot of people that just use Outlook, and in the client name with all of your detailed information in the notes, they'll put like, oh yeah, I found out that they've got 2 kids, this age and this age. Now, actually, I did do that for a while, but I forgot. This is a learning. Put the date in which you add that information, because I knew someone for a while and I was like, okay, their kid isn't 12 anymore.
Yeah. And when did I write that?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So put the date that you're adding these thoughts in there. Be like, oh, so I remember you told me you went on a vacation in March. How'd that go? So you can use simple tools to keep track
Agreed.
of being able to personalize.
We for a long time used a spreadsheet, like a shared spreadsheet
Hmm.
online, and we just put the name and details in. Now, this is where, of course, one of our top recommendations for these personalized touches is getting a CRM. Most
Hmm.
people use the CRM, customer relationship management software. Most people use a CRM for the sales process, and they are
Hmm.
designed originally for that purpose, and they're phenomenal. But oh my gosh, they're amazing. If you are one of these people that have multi-touch projects, a CRM that continues that and says, oh, at this stage, hey, we were doing the check-in, or they just told me they like Mountain Dew. Well, somebody better put that in the CRM. And a CRM
Yeah.
system will automatically track the date that you put it in. So they'll save you a little bit of that.
Ah, brilliant.
But of course, if you're
Yeah.
not using a CRM, you kind of have to manually recreate some of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's basically some tracking system that says where are we at what stage, what's going on, and what are we learning about Caitlin as we continue to work with her. Just write it
Hmm.
down. And it gets really
Hmm.
simple. And then some reminder. Maybe that reminder is an Outlook reminder, like ding, hey, one of my
Yes.
reminders this week is to do something personal for Caitlin. Or maybe the CRM pings you, but set it. That's
Hmm.
my first is track it. I love and then set a reminder.
Yeah, I love that
Set a
too. Hmm.
reminder. And when we have this map, your reminders sync at the major sequences of the project. Again, this is
Hmm.
why a CRM might be nice. You can organize it when they get to that stage. CRMs, if you've not used them, they have different like stages or categories. And you're like, hey, Caitlin's moved to the stage 3 of the project, right? We close that part out. Now she's in stage 4 of the relationship. But if you're doing it manually, you just like put, oh, hey, we're at this stage, we're at this stage. But your
Hmm.
map will be like, hey, we moved to the next major bullet point or dot on our map. What are we doing at this stage? And that will be your
Hmm.
reminder is like, well, what's your personal touch right now? Um,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that might be it. It might be a simple reminder that says, oh yeah, I should do something.
Yeah.
Now I've mentioned it twice, but I maybe even 3 times now. I'm going to like call it out. One of the things to do in the middle that makes a personalized ICU value is give them a personalized project update that says, here's where your project is. Here's where we've been. Here's what
Hmm.
we are currently doing. Here's what will come next. I
Hmm.
made this mistake and had some pushback from clients on this in the early days. Like, yeah, like I remember you said we were going to do a project thing, but we're 6 months into this. Are we on track? What's next? What are we doing? And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh no, I already sent you that. Like, don't you remember 6 months ago? I sent you this
The
beautiful
the
Gantt
one
chart.
time, yeah,
Yeah,
six
yeah.
months
We
ago.
did the project
The
kickoff.
roadmap.
Thank you. Thank you. As a roadmap, check the box.
Yeah.
And then what do you know? They have a life that isn't sitting around thinking about my project all day long. It's a crazy
Hmm.
thing, Caitlin.
Who'd have thought?
So yeah, we now have a new policy. We're like, you know what? Every at least night. So we'll sometimes do these 2-year transformation projects where we'll partner with a company, help them build all this stuff, right? And so
Hmm.
for us at that rhythm, every 90 days, we have to say, hey, here's where we are in the project. Here's
Mm.
what we've done. Here's
Hmm.
what we're doing now. Like we're working on this. And remember, here's what's coming next after that. And just give them an
Hmm.
update. Now, a generic project update is great. You know, it's way better than that. A personalized communication on your project. Like
Ah, I
we
like
didn't
that.
just kick off with your leadership team. We met with Caitlin Scott, Matt, Leanne, like name your leadership team, right? Here's the people we showed up with. And like that we met with those individuals. And here's a picture. Say your construction company. Here's a picture of your, the groundbreaking when there was raw ground. And here's the picture of the framing. And right now we're starting to put some drywall
Yes.
up. And it's not generic. It's like, no, that's your property. We actually went and took a real
Hmm.
picture of your project and here's where we've been, here's where we're going. People want to see progress. And again, you can do that generically, but I strongly recommend it's their name, it's their pictures, it's their
Hmm.
specific stuff, and you do regular project updates. Now, like if you're construction, you may not want to wait every 90 days. There's a lot that happens, probably more often.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of construction companies we work with that'll have this. They'll even have an app that you can do these days where you can set up a relationship with the client and they pull up it. And it's like, hey, this is this week's, or sometimes even here's today's progress. Here's what's happening in
Mm.
your build,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
actual pictures, actual stuff with your name on it that make nice touches to the deal. So
Yeah.
updates alone are powerful, and personalized updates make them feel like, man, you're really doing this with me. Like you get it.
And you can determine the frequency when you go back to the map and you look at, what are those key points that we're interacting and what are we doing or what are we not doing? What could we do in order to keep that personalized service going?
100%. Yes, that's exactly the brilliant application. Okay, so one other thing to do is to involve them in the process and let them add their personal touch to your piece. So I mentioned construction. This is one of my favorite things to do in a custom construction process. In the middle of it, there's usually like a frame. If a building's being built, the framing, all these wooden or steel beams and
The
stuff that are
outside.
up.
Sure.
Yeah, we're about to cover those with drywall and exterior siding and roofing and it all be covered up, but it's like the skeleton of the thing is out there and exposed. One of the fun things to do is take them a walkthrough of your property, and then we give people Sharpies and we say, hey, why don't you write a little note, an inspirational thing, a statement, a sign
Nice.
spot, and they get to walk through. And this key, it's them. Now, I could write inspirational things and tell them, so it'd be a standardized approach, like, hey, we're going to, we write these cool notes for you.
I don't know. I'd be like, you're writing on my building.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like, or you let them write it. I mean, honestly, it's sanctioned graffiti, right? Like, would you come tag this building for me here?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Scott was here, and you're going to cover it up. You can write anything this Mac you want. Kids in particular love this if you're doing a family thing. But man, I have seen CEOs of big companies like nerd out with excitement because they get like a little boy again. They get to scribble on the wall and they claim the building stuff. Like this is mine. They write their
hidden treasure.
value statements or their signature. Sometimes, like when I've worked with other folks, they've put like scripture verses from their faith of like, hey, this is kind of like we're dedicating this space. Here's the mindset we want people to have. And so, it's not public. It's a private, personal thing, and they get to literally put their mark on the building. Now, how do you do that in a non-construction space? You're making a software project. They get to design one piece of it, right? They get to say, hey, you pick the color and scheme and you make that. Here's some options. What do you want? And you let them pick a piece of it. They get to add a personal touch to the piece. If you're making something for them, give them a little piece and part to make. Help them be a part of picking this or picking that. Okay, one of my favorite examples of this, Disney World. I'm a theme park Disney fan. So in the Star Wars land, okay, so I might also be a Star Wars nerd. I mean, my nerddom is stacking here.
I'm pretty sure you said you have a cloak in your closet at one point.
Yeah, and a lightsaber.
And a lightsaber.
For the kids, Caitlin.
For the kids.
Yeah, no, and my lightsaber is not the store-bought. It may actually be a custom built off of metal parts welded. I didn't do it. I had a friend do it for me.
I'm thinking that's a pretty cool custom retreat.
It is.
I'd like to build awesome. A lightsaber.
Yeah, he hand welded and glued together parts.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure like an old vacuum tube thing is like, the metal bended on it.
That's hilarious.
It's super cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have a pretty cool lightsaber. Unfortunately, no, it does not actually light up. That's the one part we couldn't figure out is how do you extend a 3-foot blade that cuts anything? I don't know why you didn't do that. I guess that was the upsell version. Anyway, so yes, nerd them over. Okay, so you might think, well, actually, this is a great example. This perfect example. I was going to talk about my son, but we ended up talking about me. You outed me, Caitlin. I was going to say how my son could go and do these little like droid construction shops. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yes.
You can buy a droid, and they're remote control droids. You can buy a droid from the store, or you can pay a lot of money. I mean, I think it was $120 last time we were there for him to assemble his own droid. They have this cool conveyor belt of parts. And you pick the head and you pick the body and you pick the wheel types you want. And there's color and type. And then you carry all your stuff, your little basket to a station. And then they show you, here's how you clip and assemble it. And here's how you screw this part together. And he got to build his own droid. And that is a whole other level of love. Then I bought him a droid.
Oh my gosh,
And again,
yes.
I was going to talk about my son, and I have a custom built lightsaber that I value way more highly than the store bought lightsaber, even though those make the cool sounds.
Yeah.
Mine
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make cool sounds.
You can make the sound, Scott.
Well, thank you. That you guys, as is evidenced, I am capable of making cool Star Wars sounds. But
Right.
yes, because it's mine and it's unique and it's not a
Hmm.
store-bought thing that anyone else
Well,
has.
perfect validation in the personalization of service, right? I mean, here
Yes.
you've got this custom lightsaber that maybe wasn't part of a customer journey, but the impact that it has is the power behind it.
Yes. It's mine.
Hmm.
It's specific to me. So if you
Hmm.
make something, let them be a part of picking, designing, screwing in something, and they will
Yeah.
feel much more personally connected to it. It gets really
Hmm.
beautiful. And again, some of this is memorable moments ish. Like there's a big moment. Like you can have like groundbreaking and everybody gets a cool shovel and we get to dig the first bit. But some of the personalized aspect of it is I get to choose and write and make my own touch to it.
Hmm.
And that's not standard. Like what you choose to design is not, you can't have it be like, listen, we already put it and you just get to be the one to play. No, let him actually make a personal contribution of some kind if it's possible.
Hmm.
Right now, if you're
Yeah.
making a nuclear power plant, I don't recommend that they get to pick the safety features they want.
Yeah,
Standardize
no.
some things. That's okay. That's okay.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
maybe they get to pick the color of the sign on the front door. Something that's not going
Just the
to,
little things.
yes, put your
Yeah.
operational safety at risk, but you can do cool stuff here. So that's one of the other things. Now, one of the others has nothing to do with the project, and it's
Okay.
entirely to do with the relationship.
Mm.
Try to and like aim to design to do this. Find a gift you can give them that's specific to their situation.
Hmm.
I'm gonna give you a very high level example, and then we can get some specific ones. I know you and I were talking about
I
some
have.
cool ones.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
okay, you can give them a gift card and a little note. Okay, great. Well, what if the note was personalized, written to them? What if the gift card wasn't just a gift card? It was a gift card to their favorite store because you found out, right?
Personalized.
You
Hmm.
know, the Bass Pro Shop gift card is going to be very different than the Sephora gift card, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
I
Yes.
mean, listen,
Yeah.
maybe somebody likes both of them. That's okay. Humans can like both of those, but at the same
Hmm.
time, it tells you something like I listened to what you care about. Do you want to go get $50 mascara, or do you want to go get rubber boots for your next wading experience when you're fishing? And again, maybe you want to wear $50 mascara while you're wading in the
That's
no
one way
judging
to do
here,
it.
right? No judging, but generally it's going to communicate a different message if you send a
Hmm.
specific gift card, and that's still very high level. What's even
Hmm.
better is actually giving them a gift that is unique to them or nods to kind of their situation. Personalized
Yes.
gifts are so powerful.
I love that. Let me throw out an idea I had. Well, it was an experience I had, and I'd like to see if you think it's more of a personalized service or memorable moments. So I'm
Mm.
curious. So we had to get a new AC unit
Oh,
recently.
I
And
apologize.
of
I'm
course,
sorry.
in
Yeah.
the middle of the summer, it blows,
Yeah.
right? So we're like, okay, let's do this. And that's not an easy, quick decision. So it's which
Mhm.
company, who do we trust, which way do we want to go? And side comment, but there's like new AC systems coming out soon. So it's like, do we go with the brand new ones? I don't know. I'm not usually the
Yes.
first in line for new stuff like that. I wanted to have it tested. There was a whole thing. Anyways, we finally went with the company we were going with, and they're in your house all day, moving systems and tubes and pipes and all that. And then here was the special touch where I was like, oh my gosh, that was so thoughtful. So after we finished everything, signed it all, they actually did ask for our feedback. They gave us a nice little card, and they were like, my name's Francisco. I would really love if you could leave a review and give us some feedback. And he did it in a very nice way. It wasn't pushy. And I was like, that's great. They're getting those pulse surveys,
Yep.
trying
Yeah.
to get my opinion. And then he packs up and goes. And then I went out the front door to go get the mail, and he left a hanging flower plant
Oh
at
no.
my doorstep. And I was like, that is really thought. I mean, because And they did a great job. They had their little booties on their feet. They kept the house clean. They cleaned up
Yes.
after themselves and all that. But then the nice little hanging plant, I was like, that is such a nice touch.
That is a nice touch. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. So it's a surprise gift. We love that. Let's analyze this.
Yes.
And it's something above and beyond. We're going to come back to this idea like, hey, here's our core service, our core operations. We're going to do something that's a kind of an extra or out of scope typically, right?
Yeah.
So normally you didn't hire them to give you plants and landscaping.
That's
so
right.
Nice. And it's a small touch, like compared to the cost of a AC replacement.
AC,
I've done those. They can afford to put a little plant in there. And the question is, how personalized was it? That's the question.
Right. So now I'm thinking that might have been more of a memorable moment versus personal.
This is where they overlap a little, right? It's a little, but yeah, that feels like a mid-project memorable moment. The way they did it, it was a standardized thing. That's fine. It's awesome. But what would have been amazing?
It still has me talking about them.
That's right. That's right. It's not bad. But wow, what would have happened if they had your name on it? It's Johnson Home or something, or somehow they had found out what kind of plants you have. Or Unu, it might have been even as simple as this. Maybe they'd say, hey, we know that this plant requires because I'm about to tread into waters I am not an expert at. My wife is the green thumb. I'm the city boy she's like, pretty flower. I'm like, oh, I like the pink ones. And she's like, that's a peony. Don't you know? I'm like, it's pink. Like, what's the difference?
I don't do flowers. I do Lego flowers, Scott. Lego flowers.
Yes. On video, for those who don't know, it's she's actually got a Lego bouquet on her background shelf. It's awesome.
I never have to water it. Yeah,
I know. They look awesome, Caitlin. They're just as vibrant as the first time I saw them. Yeah, and my knowledge of them is I like the orange one. That's a really nice. Like that's what type of flower is it? It's an orange one.
It's an orange.
So
I'm right there with you.
Told by my wife though is that some of these plants require full sunlight all the time. Some of them are better for they're going to be on the shaded side of the house and they're only going to get half sunlight. They actually wouldn't do well in sunlight and all these considerations. Even maybe if they had a note, if I'm a part of this guy, it's like, how do you ask somebody? Because let's talk real challenges. How would you ask somebody like, just randomly, like, what kind of flowers do you like? Right? Like, what are you
so funny
about, dude?
Yeah, that would be very out of sync of that customer engagement, right?
Right. So one option, you put their name on it. Maybe the other option, you say, hey, for your climate zone, you're in North Carolina. And we recommend for given your porch has full sunlight all day long, or your porch is kind of shaded. So we pick this out that would fit your climate zone and your shading so that it could thrive in your porch. We just wanted you to have a little something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way you customize it, is something that shows that we thought about you. Now here's the sneaky part, systematizing this. They probably don't do AC repair like for North Carolina and South Florida and Canada, right? Like
they're probably regional.
Yes, they probably all have a similar climate zone. So maybe they only need to pick like 3 types, and they're like full sunlight, partial sunlight, right? Full shade. The gardeners are rolling over right now, losing their mind.
I know, right?
Because they're like, that's not the categories. Like I know people.
Yeah.
Whatever the correct categories are, but they have these limited options, and then they can just do a simple check like, hey, we think this is a full sunlight one, hang it on there with a little note, and that says why we picked this one for you.
Okay, I have an idea. Let's take what you started, and here's how I think maybe you could systematize it and personalize it.
Nice.
It's an AC company. So you're fixing the internal house temperature.
Yeah.
So bring me an in-house plant. Like, is that what they called?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of an outside plant.
Technically, they're called in property. I have no idea. Okay,
right. Just
but you're right. No,
house plant. House plant. That's what they're called. Bring me a house plant and then say, this would be great in your kitchen or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's creepy, but I mean, it personalized. Like, we thank you for allowing us in your home. We hope you enjoy your cooler temperature, and we thought you would enjoy this house plant, as you enjoy the rest of the summer.
Oh, and you know what? Now, maybe this is just my personality. I'm loving this, Caitlin. What if you add a funny little note to it? Like, and by the way, these plants thrive much better in an environment that is kept below 85 degrees, right?
That's great.
So
Yeah.
it's a good, this is a little nod to like, hey, wink, wink. We're helping you
Yeah.
not sweat to death in your house.
Yeah. Or maybe even a cactus, like no sweat. We were in and out, right?
Yes.
If you have any other concerns or problems, give us a call. But this was no sweat. Here's your
Nice. Yes. So this is a really great live example of how you take a moment and you're like, hey, we're going to give you a gift. What if we personalize the gift that both fits you, and then what you added at the end was fits us, right? Like, hey, no sweat. I know you were sweating.
Yeah.
They're over.
Yeah.
That little, like, it's a nod to us. It's a nod to you. This is a unique thing about our relationship, which, as cool as that plant is, a generic hanging plant isn't exactly about the relationship. It's just, hey, thanks for thinking of me. And props to them for doing that. Like, that is awesome. And can I bluntly say, better than the AC company that fixed ours 2 years ago?
Right.
In fact, why don't we do this completely unsolicited? Do you remember the name of the company? Like, let's give them a nod.
You know what? Sadly, I don't. But what I do remember was that they were associated with Costco.
Okay.
So we bought the AC units through Costco, and it was the vendor or company that Costco outsourced.
Okay. So nod to Costco, who has lots of raving fans.
Yes.
The partner they used was a good partner. Okay. Yeah. But great job, guys. And you see what happens when you just personalize it in a unique way that's personalized to you, personalized to them. Thanks, Johnson's. We're super excited about this, right? And maybe if it's a cactus, you make a note like, don't let your dog near this, right? And you need your dog, right? So specific names to specific situations, it just takes it to the next level. Let's do one last thing, and then we maybe wrap this piece up here, because we could go on and on. But one of them we just mentioned, and I'll finish the promise. I'm going to pause. Do you need to go get that?
No, actually, I don't. I think thank you so much, because I was like, otherwise I would have pieced out.
She said she sent me a note. Her fire alarm's going off. Like, yeah, no, Caitlin, you can deal with your burning house later. We're on recording, right?
No, the rest of the family's home, so they're taking care of it. It's off now, but I didn't want any of it to come through.
So they're throwing buckets on it. It'll be fine.
There goes my house plant.
The house plant is burning. That's hilarious. Yes. Bonus thing we promise we talk about is the extra services.
Yes.
Sometimes what you do is, and this is what the plant is a good example of, but let me give you lots of other ways. You can do a free upgrade to your services. Hey, we don't normally do this, but you get this upgrade part of the process. We're going to add this extra touch. Or in a construction scenario, we saw one time they would say, hey, we've got a budget planned in our thing where when you're going and picking all your stuff, there's always lots of options. And there's always the more expensive option. If you've ever been through this, like, yeah, the base house is going to be 200. And by the time you finish picking out all your options, it's 700. You're like, what the smack happened? That's twice as much, and that's 3 times as much, and that's everything's options, right? Well, occasionally they're not going to pick the fancy one, and you can, for a relatively small cost on your end, do a free upgrade. Hey, I know you were thinking about the nicer sink handle there, but you went down, on us, we wanted you to have the sink you really wanted. So
that's a clever idea.
Put in the fancier one now listen, it costs an extra $100. This is a $300,000, I'm making a number up, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home, maybe $1 million home, right? And you're going to do a $200 upgrade, like, you can afford. In fact, that's to them. On you, from the supplier side, there might only be an at wholesale cost $100 difference. Or even granite countertops. Hey, we're going to give you the marble ones you guys were eyeballing. I want you to have the kitchen counter you really like. And this is the personalized thing. If you do a random upgrade, they're like, okay, it's got to be, I wanted that upgrade. I named it, I verbalized it, I hesitated. Hey, we're going to throw that one in for free for you. And that personalized, I see you. I see what you really wanted. I want you to have, and that's the way we typically train our folks to say it. It's like, hey, I want you to have your dream set up. I just want you to get which really blesses you. And so on me, this one's on me. And they will talk like crazy about that and love it. And these people. And so one of the ways is just free upgrades. One of the ways is bonus services. So IT managed services companies we've worked with, we've done a few of these. So if you don't know, they're like for small to medium sized companies who don't have their own in-house full IT system. They don't want to hire somebody to keep all the computers running and internet up and manage all the equipment. And you can outsource that and say, hey, you manage all that for me, right? So we can just do our thing. So they come in and like, hey, it's a new set of equipment, or Windows finally releases its next version and we're all going to update and all that stuff, right? And that's what they do. You know what they would also do? They would do training on how to use key software. Like, hey, here's the Microsoft Office suite software. We're going to do an Excel program for people who don't know it, tell you about the latest and the newest version of Excel. Or, hey, we're going to teach you guys how to use Outlook really well and best practices for time management. And they would do, they're not a training company. Right? They're the IT services. And sometimes they would outsource with a partner and be like, hey, you go do the training, but it's on our dime for free. Now, here's the sneaky value of something like that. It's a bonus. It's related to the work of their deal. You know what it also is? It saves them a lot of time and hassle, because if you know how to use that software, you're probably not going to call your IT managed services folks and be like, the button doesn't work again. And you're like, yeah, that's not what that button does, buddy. Thanks, Scott. You can't order food through your Excel spreadsheet. Sorry, that's not what it's for. Like,
Darn.
but I wrote down, right? Like, so yeah, that being said, it's a bonus but related service. Hey, we're going to do this thing for you. We're going to help you. And here's where the super sneaky way to do it is. Remember I said might bring somebody out and it's on our dime? For a lot of times you can do these bonus things as a referral agreement with another company who wants access to your customers, and they will often do this for free because they want the chance to give a taste test to your customers. So we worked with a company that does shades and blinds installs and, nice homes and all that stuff. And they can work an arrangement out with a local landscape company who will come and, hey, we just installed your windows and put a whole new bay window in and like your living room space, and it's beautiful. And they come in and they do a free landscape treatment of the lawn and the yard, the bushes right in front of your window.
Wow.
And the landscape company is delighted to come in and show you what we can do. And it costs you nothing, and your customer gets something that's cool and related. And so here's your window. Here, we want your view to be even nicer. So on us is a landscape. The landscaping company is like, thank you very much. And you can even work a referral agreement out, right? Where if they then hire them, they reward you and say, hey, here's our little thank you gift for bringing us custom. You can literally get paid to offer them a free gift if you do this strategically. An example from the construction space, right?
Yeah.
Is they do the move-in day and you find out what they want, and you have local stores who will give you free samples. Here's a basket of local stuff from your local community, because the mom and pop stores would love for you to have their people come notice what's in our community and not maybe drive to Costco every time, right? And so
yeah, I like that idea.
There's a way to add bonuses and related stuff that really adds value, costs you maybe nothing, maybe even you get paid to add cool bonuses to your customers.
Yeah. Well, I certainly hope the listeners have heard, obviously us banter back and forth, the little bit of the difference between memorable moments and how to even make it more personalized, how to look at your customer journey and find those touch points that you could make sure your customers and clients know that you care about them with these personalized services.
If you enjoyed this episode, you might want to sign up for our weekly newsletter. It's all new content with the same themes. You can subscribe for free and learn more about how we partner with our clients to build legendary companies at swazconsulting.com. That's www.swozconsulting.com. And if you want to get access to the actual tools and techniques that we use with our elite consulting clients, check out our online program at legendarybrandsacademy.com. That's www.legendarybrandsacademy.com. Greatness is possible. You just have to build the right engine.